Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. We've got a great show for you today at 10 o'clock right here, right now, but later today at 2 o'clock, we've got a college football show. I want to remind everybody, we're going to be having these every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. It's going to be Emery Hunt, Mike McClure, Chip Patterson, and Eric Cohen, a who's who of college football cappers. Again, that's today on CBS Sports Network at 2 o'clock. Before we get into the show, let's see how we did yesterday. Well, we've had a lot of winning days lately. This is not one of them. 2-4. I hit my first 5. Sniper goes 1 for 2. But overall, we are 2-4. Of course, what do we do on Bounce Back Wednesday? We bounce back, and we're doing it with all of you in the chat. D. Johnson, Chris Thomas, Liddy, Matt, Robert, Ryan. But we're also doing it with the crew. Let's bring him in right here, right now. We have a dream team of sorts in MLB. And, of course, the guru to talk soccer, Sniper, Amags, Martin Green. Sniper, I start with you because we are Troy Aikman. I hate to do it. I'm a Washington fan, but I got to give respect where it's due. We are Troy Aikman days away from NFL kickoff. Do you have a number 8 for us, sir?
Oh, I have plenty. There's an amalgam of a very mediocre quarterback on the Bears. It's Rex Grossman, Cade McNown, Jimmy Clausen, Mike Glennon. However, since we talked about the Super Bowl shuffle yesterday, why don't we go to a punter from the 85 Bears and say we are Maury Buford days away?
Wow. You know, I almost posted that Jim McMahon clip and tagged Jim just to see if we could get some participation. Yeah. If I get your blessing, I'll fire it up today. Okay, fair enough. Amax, how you doing today? I see you're donning a Seattle Mariners hat. Is that an indication of maybe where you're headed today?
Oh, yeah, and we got a little day baseball. I think we have a bunch of day baseball picks here, but a little day baseball out west, a little 1 o'clock game, 4 o'clock East Coast, so it's kind of nice. You get the other early day baseball games on the East Coast, and you get this one kind of trailing behind it. I think it'll be a good one.
A lot of day baseball, actually, not just in your game, but if you're into afternoon baseball, I just tweeted it out. All our picks are this, at least all the picks on this show. You can go to SportsLine, get all the picks tonight and today, but all the picks on this show in baseball are going to be in the afternoon. Martin, before we get into your soccer picks, are we going afternoon? Do we have a game maybe tomorrow, a game today? How is the split in your 2 picks?
In my 2 picks, we have 1 pick for today and 1 looking ahead to the weekend. And the game that takes place today, I believe, is in about 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours.
Let me ask you this, Martin. Do you miss Tim Doyle? Because I got to be honest with you, the dynamic, I almost feel like you're like put in the corner a little bit because you and Tim had this back and forth when we'd start Wednesday shows. Of course, he'll be back, I'm sure, during NBA season. But do you miss him, yes or no?
Yes, I'm just counting off the days until the start of the NBA season for the big reunion, the big energy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the picks. Martin, we're going to start with you. I kick it right back to you. You got 2 soccer plays. You mentioned it. One's today and one's for the weekend. You've got the floor, my friend.
Thank you very much. I'm training my focus on Basque Country, which is in the north of Spain. Very beautiful part of the world and some good soccer teams there too. I think that Real Sociedad, or Sociedad as they sometimes call it in the local area, should be too strong for their local rivals Alaves today. La Real will have the wind in their sails after they beat Espanyol 1-0 on the road last weekend. They lost a couple of key players in the transfer market this summer. Marino joined Arsenal and Lenormand went to Atletico Madrid, but they remain one of the best teams in Spain. They're unbeaten in their last 6 matches against Alaves with 3 wins and 3 draws in that time. Those games average just 1.67 goals. They're not high-scoring clashes between these teams. They rarely are when Real Sociedad play. For that reason, I'm combining a home win for Real Sociedad with under 4.5 goals at -125. And just while I'm on the show, looking ahead to the weekend, I think we should see a really entertaining clash between Chelsea and Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea are coming off a 6-2 away win against Wolves at the weekend. They have enough firepower to cause all sorts of problems for Crystal Palace. However, they're sloppy in defence. They've conceded 2 goals per game so far this season. Crystal Palace have made a bit of a shaky start to the new campaign, but I think they should be able to exploit Chelsea's defensive vulnerabilities. So I'm just going for a standard, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals bet at -110.
All right, we've got 2 soccer picks from the guru. You're receiving all kinds, as you were giving those picks out, there's all kinds of compliments headed your way, Martin Green, in the chat. We've got a lot of baseball to talk about, but Sniper, before we go to a quick break, I do want to ask you, because you're so good about being on this show, but also being in the chat, answering questions. A lot of people look at the matchup in Cubs Pirates, and honestly, the opinions have sort of shifted a little bit because of the leash on Paul Skeens. I don't think people know what to do with that game. You responded to something in the chat. Just give us your take on that Cubs Pirates game real quick.
Yeah, somebody brought up, hey, maybe ride the Cubs. Skeens will be on a leash. Kyle Hendricks, who is terrible, versus Paul Skeens, who is Paul Skeens. But the Cubs are all kinds of hot. The Pirates are all kinds of cold. That just equals a total stay away for me.
Yeah, fair enough. We also have a lot of picks in the chat from Moshi. Brad Betts is in the chat giving out soccer picks, so check those out as well. And if you want to make any of Moshi's or Brad's or Big Cheesy's plays or anybody else in the chat, or any of Sniper, Amags, mine, or Guru's plays, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got to get to that Seattle pick. We don't know where we're headed in Seattle. We just know we're headed to Seattle. We know we're headed to a lot of afternoon baseball. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Yep, they're wrapping up the summer. And now we're looking forward to kicking it with superstars. Now that's CBS Sports Sunday. We'll see you on September 8th.
We're back on the early edge presented by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. All right, I mentioned it at least 3 times now. We got a lot of afternoon baseball. Amags, you're going to kick us off. What's the play in Seattle?
All right, Sia, well, we do have a play in Seattle, but really quick first, I did see a question here like 4 times over about Osvaldo Bido and his strikeouts. I believe it's at 4.5 here, maybe no 5.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's gone really like right around that number, but over it with consistency. So I kind of see why the question is there. I don't love some of the underlying stuff, but I will say again, he's been over the number, so I kind of can't tell you not to, I think. And it is against the Reds. But to my pick out there out west in Seattle, we have Luis Castillo over 6.5 strikeouts. You can still get it better, under minus 150. I really like that, minus 145 at DraftKings. But shop around too, because there were some better prices. MGM was right there with minus 150 as well. And I think being around that for the 7 strikeout is really appealing to me. Last time out, you guys saw I posted that one on the website, right around minus 145 again for a 7 strikeout. And Castillo's been doing it for us. I mean, especially of late, he's been 9 strikeouts in 3 of his last 4, but the one time he missed, he was at 6 strikeouts. He hasn't always had like the easiest of matchups, but I think this is a really nice matchup. We saw the last 2 nights, double-digit strikeouts from each of those Seattle pitchers. Actually, when you look at Logan Gilbert last night, I tabbed him in my article as my favorite pitcher play for strikeouts of the day, but just felt like maybe the number was a little bit away from us for the 8th strikeout. It was pretty much right where we're paying for the 7th strikeout here on Castillo. And like, again, as I said, Castillo's been solid. The one thing about Castillo, when you look at the underlying metrics, not only has he been better to the righties in terms of like whiff rate, swinging strike, but when you look to the left side of the plate, it kind of depresses some of his numbers on the swinging strike rates. Well, he should see a heavier righty lineup here, guys that are going to chase hitters that aren't as experienced. And Castillo is a pitcher. The guy knows how to pitch. He gets a ton of called strikes. He works the fastball, slider, and changeup. And truthfully, that changeup can be, I think, pretty devastating here against this lineup. The mix of speeds, I just do not think it's going to be that easy for them today. So a 7th strikeout, I went up the ladder, and I think that you can too at some pretty nice plus money. I think we said on Twitter it was Bet365 had the best upper levels for the strikeouts today.
All right, Luis Castillo over 6.5 Ks. Absolutely love the play. And what I also love is David Talk is in the chat. I love you, David and Sean, and everybody that's in here. Fat Stacks being in here, participating, asking questions, giving us like button hits, and of course, giving us some of your plays as well. But David Talk says, "Hey, what about the Houston Astros first 5 or full game money line?" Well, what about it? I put this pick on SportsLine, I guess, a little over an hour ago. I absolutely love this play. And listen, I don't know that I got lucky yesterday, but I did require a home run in the bottom of the 5th to hit my first 5. Thank you, Jake Rogers. A little unexpected, but listen, I'll take the cash. It was 3-2 at the end of 5. But Cueto was actually good through 5. It was the 6th inning that gave him quite a bit of trouble, but I wanted to fade Cueto. And I want to fade the bad pitcher in the first 5, and that's Taijuan Walker in this Phillies-Astros matchup. So give me the Astros first 5 money line. Spencer Arrighetti on the mound for the Astros. You look at his season stats, you look at his whip and some of the more advanced metrics than that, and it doesn't look great. But if you narrow it down to what he's been doing, I don't know, the last 6 weeks or so, the last 6 or 7 starts, it's looking pretty good. He did have a slip up against the White Sox recently, but he's gone against some really good lineups lately and really limited the runs and the hits. So I'm in on Spencer Arrighetti in general, although I do acknowledge the inconsistency and I acknowledge the fact that the Phillies may be able to hit him. But I think the Astros, even though this lineup hasn't done well lately, I think the Astros are going to be very solid against Taijuan Walker. So I'm taking the Astros first 5 money line here, -118. I'd play this up to -130, frankly. Maybe even -135. I know the money is coming in on the Astros since last night, but yeah, Astros first 5 money line is the play for me. And I got some head nods. That makes me feel a little comfortable. Sniper, you got a couple of picks as well. What you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go right back to Cleveland because we're going to stick with what works, and we've been riding the Royals, and they've been winning, and the Guardians are just in a bad way right now. If you go back to June 25th, the Guardians are 24-32 since then. They've completely let the Twins and Royals back into this race. Not only that, but it's tied right now. The Royals have tied them. They're ready to take over first place today. I'm going with the Royals on the underdog line here on the money line. The Royals are 23-13 since the All-Star game. They're really locked in right now. I love Bobby Witt Jr. as a top 3 MVP candidate. The wily veteran Salvador Perez went deep twice on Monday night. Tanner Bybee on the mound for the Guardians. He's actually much better on the road. At home, he has a 4.20 ERA versus 2.81 on the road. This game is in Cleveland. Michael Wacha is going really well right now. Royals starter, 2.45 ERA in his last 16 starts. That's not a small sample. 16 starts. He's been in a groove for a long time. Somebody in the chat asked about Wacha's strikeouts. Yes, I like the over on that. Love the Royals here. Also, going to go to St. Louis. And I'm going to go with the Padres. I'm going to go with the hottest team in baseball in the second half here, -125. So a little bit of juice, but not too much. And it's going to be worth the squeeze here. The Padres are 39-26 on the road this season. Great road team. They've already won the first 2 games of this series, 26-9 since the All-Star break. As I said, best team in baseball in the second half. Cardinals, really lackluster. 15-21 since the All-Star break, 9-15 in August. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Really good spot for him. I love the Padres. I love the Royals.
All right. I have some questions for you two. And Guru, if you have any soccer stuff that's in the chat that you want to respond to, I'll come to you in a couple of minutes. But I do want to point out we have a SportsLine pick as well, which I skipped over. We're going with the Rangers run line here. We've got the Rangers -1.5 run line at -113. This line moving around a little bit. I noticed you can get it at like -102, -105 in certain places, but it's bouncing around in this -113, -115 range as well. Rangers run line is the SportsLine pick. We finally have a pick for MLB that's actually tonight instead of this afternoon. So hopefully going into that pick, we're already 3-0 or at least something comparable to that. I've got a question. I got a fantasy football question for you, Sniper, and you probably don't even play fantasy football, but it's a Bears question.
I had an auction last night.
Oh, that's on me. Okay. Sniper, yeah. Eric David has a question. He says he's in a slow draft right now. Side note, he's in that slow draft with me to benefit St. Jude on behalf of fantasy football today in the FFT Open. Collectively, just that part of raising money for St. Jude, just the fantasy football portion in terms of these teams that we're all managing is raising $33,000 by itself for St. Jude. So I wanted to point that out. Eric David's a big-time contributor to that just by being in this league. With all that said, he says DeAndre Swift, he just drafted him in this slow draft in the middle of round 5. Will he be sorry? Your thoughts on DeAndre Swift?
I like him. It's funny. He seems like one of the most polarizing players this year, doesn't he? Like there's a lot of people who say he's going to be a bust. Like he's already on his 3rd team. He hasn't been in the league that long. That's a bad sign. And the Bears have so many mouths to feed. But I don't think that Ryan Poles would have spent so much money on him if they weren't going to kind of lean on him and bell cow him a little bit. So I like it, but I'm a total Bears homer. So, hey.
Yeah, fair enough. Amags, I have a question before before I go to Martin. I have a question for you. When I was looking at lines yesterday, I settled on Spencer Arrighetti. I really was looking hard at this Orioles-Dodgers game tonight at 10:10. This is the late game, the latest game on the slate. It's so interesting to me because it's Corbin Burnes, Walker Buehler, neither of which has been very good lately. Walker Buehler's been kind of bad, this entire season, obviously. Your thoughts on this one? Because I wanted to take Baltimore first 5, but then I thought a little bit better of it, and I thought, how about the Orioles team total over 4.5, which is plus money? It's like plus 105. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me I'm wrong. It's just something that I was eyeing. I want to get your and Sniper's opinion on it.
So I gotta preface it with this. I was on HQ last night. I was totally wrong about the game. The Dodgers didn't hit Cole Irvin, who every MLB team passed on through waivers. Nobody wanted him. I do not think he's very good. He actually pitched kind of well. So I maybe I don't have a beat on that game, but I will say Walker Buehler is a guy that I think is far more talented than his recent results. And you kind of don't know when he's going to be back in form, I would say. So I don't love picking against a guy like that, where at the drop of a hat, he really could just, have a great 6-inning start against you. If I have 2 quick seconds here, I do want to say, look, Jeff in the chat, Jeff is usually very nice, but he likes to talk crap about my Yankees. It's playful. It's fun. He says, Mackenzie Gore over 4.5 Ks feels like a first inning line. I thought that was pretty funny. That was a good one, Jeff. I definitely like that. But there were certainly quite a few other questions out there today, so I can't answer them all here. I'll do my best on Twitter if you want to throw us up a question. But one person I did want to give a quick shout out to, Big Cheesy. When we did our futures show, he was the first person in the chat, loud and clear, yelling Royals over on the team total for the year, for the win total. Royals to make the playoffs. Royals everything. Hopefully, or maybe it seems like he read my preseason article, because Bobby Witt was my MVP pick. He's saying Bobby Witt should be the MVP. I personally think he should as well. But we definitely had some good stuff going on the Royals. So good job, Big Cheesy. I wanted to give him a quick shout out.
Grace was all over the Royals as well.
Yes, she was. Yes. Show. I was saying Big Cheesy because he mentioned it in the chat. Yes. But yes, Grace was also. I think, I don't remember if you were a Sniper, but I know you were on a bunch that are already doing well.
Yeah. I was bad on the AL Central. So we'll just forget that. On the Dodgers-Orioles game, what I thought when I looked at the game was, immediately Corbin Burnes over Walker Buehler jumps out at you. But I thought that was kind of fool's gold, because I think the Dodgers overall are a much better team right now. And with the Orioles having won the first game in the series, I kind of feel like the Dodgers are probably going to even it up. But again, it just felt like a stay away. And I hate saying 2 different stay aways in the same show, but sometimes the best bet's the bet you don't make. And I just don't like anything on the Orioles-Dodgers game.
Go ahead, Amags. Go ahead, Amags, and then I have
really
a question
quick to that point. And I will say they mentioned M2 was also on Bobby Witt when he was 3,500 to win MVP. So pat on the back.
He's not going to. Judge is going to win it.
Yeah, but hey,
Witt's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly the right line of thinking. So I think Judge was much, much worse odds at the start of the year, right? In terms of then where Bobby Witt was, where you got him. But, oh, geez, what was I going to? Oh, the one thing, as you just said, I think there's better bets to make. So the Waka one, I think I would just stay away from playing the over 4.5 strikeouts. I know Sniper said, yeah, but again, in the chat, it was asked. And I think there's some bets you just don't make. I just don't bet strikeouts against Cleveland. So,
yeah, they put the ball in play.
All right. Martin Green, the guru. Anything in the soccer streets or in the chat that is worth mentioning or responding to a question?
One of our esteemed viewers has been asking about the prospect of Antoine Griezmann either scoring or providing an assist in the Atletico Madrid versus Espanyol game today. And I think that looks like a good pick. I must admit, I haven't looked into it, so it's not something that I'm playing. I'm not sure what the odds are, but I generally am a fan of that bet because it covers both sides. You can either score or assist. And if a player is creative and also dangerous in front of goal, like Griezmann is, it can be a really good way to get value on a player prop. So I do like that bet, and I like it more than Julian Alvarez to score or assist because I'm not 100% sure if he's going to start. So do like that bet. But yeah, that's about the main soccer comment that I'm getting out there. So yeah,
Okay.
looks good.
Amags, I'm going to go back to you real quick because you mentioned something about Juan Soto. I want you to mention it, but I do want to mention also Chris Kish has an F1 bet in here. Again, Brad Betts is in here. Check out those bets because these guys do a lot of stuff on their own Twitter accounts, their own Twitter profiles, and they hold themselves accountable, and they're kind of neck deep in a lot of this stuff. So keep that in mind. Check those picks out as well. Amags, Juan Soto, it looks like David Tock had mentioned something about him. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Juan Soto plus money over 2.5 hit run RBI. You're going to pay a much bigger price for Judge, and the price here at, I think it was plus 120 where I saw it. I really like that. I have no issue going lefty against Mackenzie Gore, who's actually been a little bit worse to lefties. So give me all the Juan Soto. As I think he said 2 days without hits, so he's due. I like that one.
All right. CID says he loves Soto today, and I missed a comment earlier from Gipper's Picks. He said something about his hip replacement surgery got approved the other day. So, I mean, I guess congratulations and well wishes. If you want to put well wishes or best wishes to Gipper's Picks in the chat, we certainly welcome that. And I right now welcome the recap screen. Let's see what we got on the slate. A lot of afternoon baseball. So if you want to get these picks in, do it on the front end. Astros first 5 money line minus 118. That's this afternoon. Martin Green, Real Society Dad money line and under 4.5 at minus 125. And Chelsea Crystal Palace, both teams to score and the over 2.5 at minus 110. Amags, Luis Castillo over 6.5 Ks at minus 145. That's also this afternoon. And we got the Royals money line plus 120 and the Padres money line minus 125 from the Sniper. The SportsLine pick, the Rangers run line, that's minus 1.5 at minus 113. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. Packed with picks. Hopefully we go into the night with a winning record because we got a lot of afternoon baseball. And speaking of the afternoon baseball king, Mike McClure, a lot of people were asking about him. He'll be on that college football show later today that I reminded you about. Chip Patterson, Emory Hunt, Eric Cohen. They're going to be on that show today at 2 o'clock. But Mike McClure will be back here on the Early Edge next week. So look forward to that. And of course, he joins me on Fantasy Football Today, DFS, every single Thursday at 11. Me, him, and Meg Schaup, where we get to break down the DFS slate in the NFL. So you're going to want to subscribe to that podcast as well. So much going on heading into football season. 8 days away. That's our show today. On behalf of Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, the Guru, the Sniper, Amags, and of course me, the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.